Hey, welcome to today's Just Guitar lesson. This is a follow-on from last time where we looked at using three-note voicings, using the root, third and seventh to play the tune Fly Me to the Moon. So if you missed that, check the description below for that. And the topic of today is feeling the pull of 3 and 7, the importance of those notes in our soloing. Now, why are the third and the seventh so important? I mentioned this briefly in the last video, but I think it's worth reiterating. If we've got a 4-note chord and it's got a root, third, fifth and seventh, the third is the most important note in terms of hierarchy. Why? Because it determines whether a chord is major or minor. The seventh is my second most important note, and that's because that adds character to the chord. So it's an interesting note, and it will determine whether a chord is a major 7, a minor 7, or a dominant 7. I think in the last video I put the fifth at the bottom and the root above it, but in reflection I think I'm kind of like about both. They don't offer terribly much. The fifth, if it's a flat 5, like in a minor 7 flat 5 chord, half diminished chord, then yeah, that's obviously interesting. But in, regular minor 7 dominants and major chords, it's just a bit boring. And the root 2, it's not a very interesting note to target in our soloing. It's a nice note maybe to resolve to at the end of a phrase, but not to start out on or over egg. We used the first 8 bars of the tune to look at this today, so let's just remind ourselves of those chords. We've got A minor 7 moving to D minor 7 going to G7 going to C major 7, C7, F major 7 going to B minor 7 flat 5, E7, A minor, A7. Let's just take the third of each chord through that progression. 2, 3, 4. It'd also be a smart idea to sing them when you play the chords, Da, you can do this. Da, to check you're playing the right note because the third's on the top in these voicings. Da, 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 da. I might go to an E7 here. Da, A minor, da, da. So I'm checking there that I'm singing the right note, so I can just internalize the sound of where those thirds are. Sevenths, 2, 3, 4. Now those sound a bit odd. Why? Because the sevenths are like a character note. They can be a little bit tense, so you need other stuff around that maybe to make that sound nicer, and you want other stuff around the thirds as well, right? But we're just working on hearing the important notes. Nice thing here might also be trying to play that in chords with those notes on top. So like, here's the third on the top, A minor 7. Do this on top 4 strings, and then I need D minor 7 with the third on tops, G7, C major 7, A, F major 7, sorry. And then B minor 7 flat 5, E7, where would that be? So, and then A minor, A7, same with the sevenths, which would be good, just nice exercise in working on, I was using drop 2 voicings there on the top 4 strings. Now I've used Fly Me to the Moon for an important reason, because the chords, like other great standards, like things like All the Things You Are, Autumn Leaves and stuff, the chords move in fourths. And when chords move in fourths, you get this opportunity to resolve 7s into 3s. What I mean by that is, if you take the first change, A minor 7, and if you take the third and seventh, C is the third, G was the seventh. The next chord is D minor 7. The 2 notes are F and C. F is the third, C is the seventh. So I could go C, G, then if I go down, resolve down to the third of the D minor 7. Then I could go to the seventh of that chord, resolve down to the third of the next chord. And this is written out in the example I'm about to show you. And hopefully you can spot that. And again, if you know the notes in your chords, you should be able to recognize what's happening here. So in this example, I'm playing the third as the first note in the bar, the seventh as the second note in the bar. And you'll notice you can move very closely then. 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously those examples are just to illustrate where the important notes are, what it sounds like, you know, against the chords. It's not the long-term aim, obviously, but you can pin melodies to those. So if I take that, I might, you know, try and target the third, say, of each chord at the start of my improv. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sure you can hear a bit of the tune coming in there as well. What I did there is I pinned a melody to those important notes. There's obviously other things at play. I'm bringing in some passing notes, some chromaticism, but those notes are guiding me where to go. I can feel them. I'm not actually really thinking, oh, I need to go to a B, I need to go to an F. I can just feel where I want to go. I can hear where I want to go. And that's a consequence of training my ear to what thirds and sevenths sounds like. The resolves are still there, but we've got it in a more melodic form. Now, this brings up a bit of an interesting thing to debate, I think, which is the idea of exercises, the value in exercises. I think they get a really bad rap, and I think it's because they're not perceived as cool. It's not as interesting as playing a song, obviously, but sometimes we need exercises. We need exercises just to get our head around something in isolation, and what we're getting in isolation here is, can I hear thirds? Can I hear sevenths? Can I resolve notes closely between these? And that's a skill. At some point, with some things in our musicianship and what we're working on, we have to do exercises. Obviously, we have to see things through to then lead that to applying it to making music and playing standards. Exercises for me are fine if they're part of a balanced routine where you don't want everything just, you know, obviously being exercises. That's going to get boring, and it's, for me, not what playing an instrument is about. Our ultimate aim would always be to play standards and to, you know, cultivate a better understanding of those standards. But sometimes we might need to do exercises based on scales, arpeggios, ear training, technique. You just got to make sure it's part of a balanced routine in what you're doing. So I said at the start of the video about feeling the pull of these notes. There's a sense of an inevitability where they want to go for me. You don't always want to fulfill that inevitable move, but it's nice to know about it and be able to use it when you do want to. So for me, this practice just lays out the important harmony, which you can add other stuff to later on. Another video that might reinforce some of the things we've looked at today would be my lesson on the flat 7 to 3 resolution, which I looked at in relation to the 251. So there's that on the screen. Check that out for a sort of deeper dive into some of the common resolves. Really important to get used to. And, you know, if you've got any questions, any comments, you leave them below. As ever, jazz guitar lessons every Wednesday and Saturday from me. Hope your practice is going well. Hope you're doing well. Hope you've had a good start to the year with everything. Until next time, you take care.